Look at me. Morning everyone, hope you're all okay. We forgot to lift the camera up then. I was going to be talking to myself. Right, so the last before the summer break, so we'll be back when the kids go back to school in September. So we're going to have about 3 or 4 weeks off now. Yeah, so I thought I would do the little demo on moulds and then a little miniature bouquet of roses, which I'm going to make a mould of, hopefully, if it's dried enough. So Jez is on camera.
Oh yeah.
With his bad back, well, with his bad leg. He's still suffering, bless him.
I'll get there.
I know you will. So yeah, so let's begin. And it's not going to be a long demonstration, but it's one that I hope you'll find interesting. Okay, so right, I'm going to go straight on to the talk about the moulds. Now, as you know, my mate Karen Davis makes the most wonderful moulds, and she's got a new one coming out. And if you go over to her website, I think she's got a competition on there. You like it or something, and you're in with a chance of winning her latest mould, which looks absolutely fantastic. I think you just need to answer a question. I think it's a haggis, but no, I don't. It isn't. Don't put that. That's not right. Right, so I'm going to go past that. But what I'm going to say now about making your own moulds, do not copy anyone else's. I know you wouldn't, but some people do. And they make copies, and it's an absolute nightmare. We had copies with patchwork cutters, and it's absolutely soul destroying when you're a business and you find people are copying you. But if you make something that, you know, like this little bee last week, and you think, oh, I'll make loads of those to put on top of small cakes. It's great to make a mould, and I'll show you a couple of moulds that I have made in the past. But make it, I mean, okay, a button. If you find a nice little button and you want to use that as a mould or something like that, that's fine. But you don't go and use, as I say, somebody else's creation. And you can make your own veins and things. Right, so I've been using, let's have a look at this now. I'll get stuck into this. I've been using this one. You can get silly gum, which is, as long as it's food grade, they must be food grade. And the thing with this, this is the little bee that I made last week. Let me move Karen's mould that way. I'll go back to that in a minute. But this is the little bee I made last week, right? I have found when I have made a mould of it. The arms, the legs, and I'll call them arms, they're too fiddly to get in and out of moulds. So they're easy to add, aren't they? Little thin sausages of paste. So I'm just going to make, well, I have made that one, but I made the body and the head separate and then stuck them together like that. Okay, so I'll just put that to one side. I'll go over that in a minute. So I was going to make this one. So you need to get a frame that's slightly bigger than what you make in the mould of. So it can be anything, but I'm using some of the little plaque cutters. And I was going to do this one again. I thought, well, I've already made a mould, so I don't need to make another one of that. And I'm not quite sure if I've got enough of the gum left. So I'm going to do this one. So I'll push that one out of the way for a bit. So this is the little mini bouquet of roses. And I'll make that in a moment while this is setting up. So you need to have, as I say, something to go round it, that when you look down at it, if I hold that and just lift down at it, you have a gap all the way round. You don't want this to be touching the edge of what it is you're doing. Could be a brooch, could be a button, could be a leaf. I'll go over on that in a minute. Right, so you put that on there, and then you've got to get equal parts of your gum. So you can weigh it, or see how much I need. If you haven't got gram scales, then use something like a spoon. So I know that, and then if I take the equal amount of the white, make sure that it is equal amounts. Yeah, so that's good, because I have used it up to now, so it must have been equal amounts that I've used, mustn't it? So I've got that one. Handy little pots, aren't they? Keep hold of those. Little bits of icing, give it a wash out. Right, so you then knead those two things together. Knead it well. Keep going. I've probably got a little bit too much here, but you can't sort of store it in anything and it'll stay soft, I don't think so. You've got about 10 to 15 minutes. It'll say on here how long you've got. Work time. Oh no, I'll have to hurry up. 3 to 5 minutes. 3 to 5 minutes, and then it's about 20 minutes to set. So keep going for that time. 3 minutes to 5 minutes is quite a long time, isn't it? To just jiggle it about like that. Just like colouring paste, really, isn't it? You're sort of stretching and folding. Right. So I've as I said, made this little bouquet. So put that in there, and then I'm going to make that shape and pop it in. Yeah, I have to mind my head there. Right, so I've got that in. I'm going to press that down firmly now. Just going to look from the top and make sure that that hasn't scooshed to the outer edge. So press down firmly so you're going to get all the detail. Now I only made this yesterday. So really, you need, whatever you're making, if you've made a little face or anything, you really need to let it firm up. Make it out of flour paste and let it firm up, even better, Mexican paste. Let it firm up and dry out completely so that when you press this in, you're not going to wreck it. It's not going to distort. You're making a mould of a completely rubbish thing. So just really giving that a good press down, you know, because of the roses, and you want to get the gum in and around all those spaces. But say you're going to do cupcakes for Mother's Day and you want to put a little bouquet on each one. Just say, I'll show you how to make it, but it'll just save you messing about. So I'm just going to leave that now. I don't know what time is it now, about nearly 22.
Yeah.
So I need to leave that, I'm going to leave it for half an hour anyway. And hopefully it'll do. Because you can't remelt it, you know, you can't remould it with this one. Once you've done it, and that's it. And if it isn't very good, then you're going to have to sort it out. There's no way of knowing. Okay, so I'll put that to one side. I'll leave that for half an hour. So what you do then, as I say, I've made one. So I had my little bee on there, pressed this in. It's not very tidy on the back. I decided where his nose was, I needed a bit more. So it's not very flat. That's the only thing. But anyway, so I pushed this on and then let it set, and then took that off, as I'll show you later. And it's quite a firm mould, unlike these lovely ones of Karen's. And you honestly, you get such a lot. When you think, I mean, these work out, I don't know, around about £8 to £13 for the set. You get all this. I'm doing a plug of Karen's moulds, but I think she deserves it, because look at that. Look what you get in her moulds, a fantastic amount, and they're so pliable, aren't they? You know, you do that, and they pop out. And why I'm going on about that is I forgot, and I did the same with this, and I went to plop my bee out, and this is what happened. Can you see? It split. And with copies, You don't always, you know, sometimes you get them like this and you forget and you do that and they split. Karens will never split. That's just never, ever, ever going to split. So you do have to be a little bit careful with the silly gum or whichever about doing that and popping them out. And the legs were completely hopeless because they were so thin. So then you would lift it and peel it back. So that's what I've done with this. But I've stuck the head and the body together, so it's not quite the right shape. But like that, and then I've lifted the end and then peeled it out. Lifted one, peeled it out, and stuck the two halves together. So I'm going to paint that in a minute. Excuse me. So I'll just show you a couple of others that I've made. Put that over there. And I'll just show you about this one. So I was rooting through the moulds. Terribly sorry, I've got a bit of a throat. Of course I have. If I'm going to break for summer, I'm going to go down with something, aren't I? Right. Excuse me for that. So this is one I made. This has got a little bit of movement. So I think this was the silly gum. And that one was the pain in the bum gum. Like this one. Just be a bit more careful when you get them out, that's all. But it has got a little bit of movement, but not as flexible as the other mould, Karen's mould. And so this is what I pushed in, and that when I found this in the drawer, I thought, oh, it's my hedgehog, because this is a hedgehog, and I have got. Do you remember me making him ages ago? And I have got a mould somewhere for him because I thought he'd be quite good on spring cakes with some daffodils and things around him. Can I find the mould? No. But when I found this in the drawer, I thought, oh, that's my hedgehog. But of course it isn't. I was looking at it upside down. That is, dare I say, Santa. And there he is. So when you push your paste in, yeah, so I'll just get some of the white paste, which I've got somewhere, white sugar paste. You know what? I'll use this flour paste. The sugar paste on its own would be a bit soft anyway, so I will use a bit of this flour paste. So let's get this into here. Oh, I need a bit more than that. Right. So I thought, well, I made this. And I made one a bit smaller as well. It was going to be like the Snow Whites and the Seven Dwarfs. So those were going to be the dwarfs. So I was going to do the cake with them all. In fact, I did the cake with them all in. It was easy to just make them, chunk them out, and then paint the little hats. So I've got my flour paste. Now, a lot of people use corn flour in the moulds. It's entirely up to you. I like oil, so I've got a little bit of oil in my dish here. Yeah, and so I just rub a little bit of oil in there, in his nose. But entirely up to you. I understand totally, you know, why people like. I just find with corn flour, it's sort of, if you're doing it over and over, the detail can start to get clogged up with the corn flour, and if you don't remember to brush it out. Or you can use, if you want something shiny, you can use white satin, can't you? Okay, let's see how we go with this. So you push that in. Make sure. I mean, this mould now must be, oh, I don't know, 4 or 5 years old. I just throw them into. That's it. That was a good guess, wasn't it? Okay, so pop it in like so. You could use the sugar paste, a firm sugar paste. You don't want anything too soft. Or you could add a little bit of Tylo or gum shag to it. Which you put in there. Okay, and then I'm just going to lift slightly, just to start it off, and then peel that out. Back in. So I've got my little Santa there, so I can churn these out. Just give it a wipe. The oil does just disappear. It's okay for painting on. this one I did exactly the same. So you can do different coloured hats. So the only painting on that is the face, the nose. I rolled little balls for the eyes, did a little dot, and then whatever colour hat you want to do. So it's really quick to do. Brush over if you want it up. Actually, if you've painted red, I would mix white satin, the shiny white dust, with some alcohol or lemon extract and paint that in, because if you tried to dust it, it would go all over the hat. So you could do the white shiny trim on the hat, but you can make little hands the same, have a little hand mould, wouldn't take much putty for that. But yeah, so you can churn all those sort of things out. And then this little one here, this is the one I've done, and I'm going to make that now. So it depends what size square you're going to go with. Oh no, sorry, that's a different thing. That was a different one. I was doing something else yesterday. So much happening at the moment. We've got weddings on the go. As you know, my niece is getting married at the end of August. So I will post pictures actually of the stuff that I'm making. You know, all these swans and stuff. So even though I'm not on, I will be, I'll do a smaller one. I will be working away here doing all sorts of things. So I will post things on and show you what they're all looking like. Might be the only time you see 60 swans are swimming. Right, so I've made a cone like that, flatten it slightly, and then I'm just going to go in with my Dresden tool. So I'm just pushing that in, hollowing this out a little bit, the top. Hope I'm in the right area here. I haven't got my, oh well, I haven't got my iPad, because after last week's stem, I put it on the chair, stood up, put it on the chair and knocked it off the chair, and it fell about 2 feet onto the floor, and it's goodbye iPad. Couldn't believe it. Right, I've hollowed that out a little bit there, okay. And then with my pointed end, just going to go, and I'll do it with my knife actually. Put my finger in there, and I'm just going to mark an angle. Like so. So this is going to make a little bouquet of flowers. All right. And then I'm going to fill that with some little diddy roses. So I'll just use my pink. Here. I mean, someone asked me about, you know, the miniature things. And thank you all very much for your comments on my prize-winning cake, and all the little miniatures on there, and said about showing you how to make them. But I'd be working, say, a cup. It would be this size, and then you'd get your bone tool like that, start it off, and then pressing it round, turn and press, turn and press, turn and press, thin it out, press it down. And I think my hands would get in the way, making little tiny spoons and things to go with this. So you're thinning that out, and then making a little tiny handle. Then you're painting a minute little design, you know, little rose pattern on there. So I don't think that showing miniatures like that is going to work for me anyway. Right, I'll squinch that up. But I'm going to make some little tiny flowers or roses for this. So you can do 2 or 3 petals. So into a ball, into a little sausage. Probably take about 4 or 5 of these. So pinch across the top. Roll up the thick end. Give it a little swizzle. Take another piece. Pinch across the top. So you've got half thick and half thin. Pinch it really thin. Right, and then roll that, wrap that around like so. And then go really up to the top. get your scissors and cut close to the top. You don't want it to be sticking too high up. Okay, so you've got your, just check on it, that's the right shape. And because I'm working straight away, I don't need to wet it. That's the good thing. I'm not working with corn flour, so it's not going to dry out. So really pinch that to make it fine. Really pinch that hard. Roll the thick part up, and that keeps the top of it loose. Yeah, you see that? And then again, I mean, you can do different sizes, can't you? You can do whatever flowers you want. I'm just doing these because they're quick to do, you know me. Quicker the better. Quicker the better on something like this, but as I say, competition work. I could sit here all day and make one thing. Right. Pinch along, pinch along, pinch along, pinch, pinch, pinch. Just wrap it round. So you could leave some like that, so you've got little tiny rosebuds. I mean, I did a little bouquet once, and the flowers, I mean, we're talking, oh, it was little buttonholes for a model, and they were like that, you know, the rose was that big. It was a little titchy tiny thing. I've always wanted little dainty fingers, but I don't think that's ever going to happen, is it? I've got chubblies. Oh, sausages. Right, so go around. Like so, cut close to the top. And the last one usually takes about 5, but if I need another one or a bud, I can do that. So wrap that up. Take a bit from the base, pinch along the top. So these are nice if you've got a little figure and you want to put something in the hand. You know, you can make one of these little bouquets. So always make that sort of go around the base before you cut it, because it just makes it more rounded like so. Okay. And then I'm going to moisten. I've only got my oily brush. I'll do it with my finger. Excuse fingers. Pick them up with a cocktail stick, and then you can pop them. I'll just flatten that bit there. So as long as they've got a little bit of a backing for them to go on, that's fine. I'll put that big one there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so I'm just going to lift that onto my board now, so I can manoeuvre that about a bit. That's it. And then there's my little brush, some water. Open that up, got a bit squashed. Pop that in. Cocktail stick. Just manoeuvre that about. So we've got our little bunch of flowers. Could be, as I say, it could be anything at all. And then some green paste. Okay, so I'm just taking a little ball into a cone. Press. And then lift with your cocktail stick. Moisten where you want it to go. So I'm going to put one, stick it, oh, I'll put those on after I've painted the base. So I've just tuck that under there. You're just going to make a few of these. Flatten slightly, pick it up, tuck it under. a little water. As I say, you don't have to use glue. That one is just disappearing, that rose. We'll just push that back a bit. That's the nice thing about working on it when it's still wet. You can manoeuvre things around a bit. I keep going to dip my brush in that blue putty. You must think it's blue water. So I'm putting one there. I'm going to put one here, but I'm just going to paint some stripes on this first of all. I need a little one. In amongst the flowers. And you think, oh, it's going to be a bit too long, that, so I'm just going to take a little bit off at the base and pop that in there. So you've got a bit of greenery in amongst the flowers. That was a bit chubbly. So then, before I put the other leaves over the top, I'm just going to mix some purple or lilac and I'll tidy up and some of the lemon extract. Right, so I'm just going to paint the stripes going that way on one side. You can see that. Just dry really quickly. Hope you're all ready for your holes. If you haven't already been, or if you're planning on going. Hope you all have a brilliant time. You see the stripes going that way, and then just going to paint them. Should have got my reading glasses on. All the way down there. I do find it a little bit difficult painting and things now because I have got a funny eye and they are going to sort it for me, but after a while it closes, which isn't very helpful when you're doing fine work, is it? I feel like pirate. Wow. Right, so I'm just gonna, I don't always see. That's my excuse anyway. I'll go down there, but you're going to do some nice stripes going that way, opposite way, so it looks like the paper's wrapped around. And then I've got Jez on one side going, ooh, trying to move, and then me with my closed eye. We make a good team, don't we? Right, so moving, just placing a couple of leaves over the what would be looking like paper. I think that one's a bit chunky. That one, don't like that one. Take it out. And then I'm going to make that one small, I think. Oh, I don't know. That size will do. That's better. So you can add as much foliage or whatever colour you want. Take this off. Flatten slightly, lift with your cocktail stick. And then any mistakes, like I've got a big splodge there, I'll cover with a leaf. Get those butterflies out. and it needs one here. If I lift that up, you can see, can't you? It just needs one there. A little bit of green. So in a ball, in a cone, flatten. A little bit of moisture. So if you put all the effort, I mean, I've done a quick one, but you could make a beautiful bouquet. And then, just I'll put a little bit of paste under there just to raise it up a bit. It's disappeared. And then all the time is spent on the master, if you like. And then if you make a mould of it, you have a really beautiful, detailed little bouquet that you can use over and over. That's better, a bit to the foreground. So if I lift that up, no, still needs that one there. A little bit of green there. Flatten. Pick it up. So that picking up with a cocktail stick just gives it that nice little ridge in the centre of your leaf. So you've got that little bouquet just drying off now. It's knowing when to stop. What do you say? Stop. Stop fiddling. Right. I'm going to put one there as well. And that will be the last one. And then I just want to go on to the little bee. Okay, so I put one there. You could put something green there over there if you wanted to. I'm just going to leave it like that. And then I would get a deeper pink. Where's that one? I'll use that. And I'm just going to go then into the centre of each of these little roses. And you could put a light green on the leaves if you wanted to. But you don't need to colour at all. If you're going to make a mould, everything can be done in white, obviously. I'm just showing you to sort of, so you can use it on a cake. But if I'm making a mould, I would just mould everything in white. And model everything in white. And make your mould from that. Okay, so we've got that. And we've got that. So that is what's in the over, you know, I started off with this, didn't I? Okay, so it isn't half an hour yet, I don't think. So I'll just keep my leave it there, won't be tempted. Put that away in there. And I'll just go back to this little bee. Right, so I've got my little bee here. And rather than mould everything, up. Oh, by the way, somebody's bound to ask about this little frame thing I've got here. And, you know, you pick things up over the years. This must be about 30 years ago I bought this. And hardly used it, really. I think it's meant for petals. I don't know. What does it say? I don't even know who made it. Heat resistant, GFPA cutters. Doesn't say who made it or whatever. But, yeah. It was a set, and I thought, oh, that got perfect shape for me, the little thing. Right, so with this, then you can then do a little bit of colouring if you wanted to put a little bit of darker shades around his face. I would go with white. Little thing. So a little bit of white in his eye. First of all, clean that. So I'm just going around the outer edge with that. I mean, you know how to paint, so I'm not going on about that too much. I think our next meeting for our guild, if anyone is interested and would like to come, I think it's a have a go night. So you need to Google Wirral Branch, and if you want to come, and they're always good fun. I'm not quite sure actually what it is. I should find out before I tell you. But it's the first Friday of the month at the Upton. Just, I mean, I did put a little I'll put purplize on. I did put a little post on for the last one, so just followed the address, but it's at the tennis club in Upton, Wirral. And we do have good fun. It is always a good laugh. And everyone's welcome. Really are. Right, let's get this. So I'm using the liquid black. I'm just going to paint in. Hold your paintbrush upright, not at an angle, because you'll get the colour going on the wrong part. So just do that. And if you didn't want to make the nose in the mould, then you would just leave this off and just roll a little bit of paste, black paste, and stick that on. You'd know where to put it, so there's no biggie there. Just go around with that, and then a fine brush and just go along the mouth. Oh, I've got a double mouth there. So just get a fine brush. This one is 30. Yeah, sable brush. And then paint in your stripes. So I'm only doing this now while I'm waiting for that mould to firm. So just take your time. So again, you could cut out the stripes if you wanted to, but you've got the choice, haven't you? If they've already come out on the mould, then you might as well just paint them in, unless you don't like painting. And then you roll out a piece of paste, put your stripes and put them on. So take it right down to the sort of around the bit. You could make these, you know, for the kids to paint, couldn't you? Unless you think it's a little bit tricky. But I bet you know, you'd be surprised what the kids can do, or even make their own mould. If you're doing, say, a leaf, what I do is do what I've done there. Put some putty into the frame, if you like, call this the frame, and then put your leaf on face down, press it firmly. Then I just brush it all over, including the putty from around the side, with a little oil, and then put another piece of putty on top. Leave it all to dry, and then the two will separate, and you take your leaf off, and you've got a front and a back then. If you only want one side, then that's it. You don't have to do the second bit. You just do what I've done there. Put the putty over the petal or the leaf or whatever. But if you want a double, you know, double-sided, then you just need that little bit of oil to set, so the two halves don't stick. That's how I do it anyway. Although there's such a lot on the market now, I do tend to buy them, but for your own models, your own bits and bobs, then the putty is really handy. I will show you what else I did on there. So when that one, so he's painted in. But if you can see this one, this is the one that I did on that cake last week. Can you see the difference in the tail bit there? You might want to add a little bit more just to bring that, flick it round a little bit. If not, just leave it as it is. Right, put that there. I'm going to get a little bit of pink for the cheeks. I realised I'd forgotten that. Don't think I've got pink, but I'll do that. Put brown on there, so that'll do. I said those awful words, that'll do. Okay, so we've got that. And then you can just make your put that to one side. So you just want 2 small pieces. Taper that down. Taper that down. And then roll to make the little knobbly end. You can roll separate little balls and put them on, or you can just do that and roll to get the little knobbly ends. Pinch that together, flatten, and then that will go behind the head. Push it down and tip them outwards like that. And the legs, I think I showed you this last week, but what I want you to show you is the eyebrows, because you can change the expression so good. I think the other bee I put yellow on, didn't I? So these are going on in black. So put that on like so. Could be even thinner than that, and then you can roll. Two little feet like that, and then that can go on just a nice little square cake like that. Sorry, just need a drink. Excuse me.
Got some water?
No, I've got some here, thanks. Okay, so we've got it like that. And then you can add the arms. Now, you can put arms on at this point, or there'd be more legs, wouldn't they? So just get 2 of these. Make sure they're the same size, like so. And then, a bit like for the antlers, you can then just put them where you want. But I'm going to, I'll do this one, having a little wave. Best to let the black painted bits dry before you do that. Then that one can go on there. It's having a dance. So you've got arms on there. Now, if I show you these 2 faces, I haven't got arms on these, but can you see if I hold them side by side? It's all down to the eyebrows now, whether that looks mischievous and that looks worried to death. And that one is because if you look at the angle of the eyebrow, that one is pointing that way down towards the nose, and this one is going more upwards. Yeah, so you've got down, down, or this one. I could have gone up, up, and it would look cute, but because I've gone slightly that way with that, he's got a worried expression, hasn't he? So if I just bring that other one back in, I just knocked legs and all sorts off that now. Right, so I'll just paint a cutie one on that one. And then I'm going to see, so that looks like a happy little face, doesn't it? So we've got a worry to death one, an absolute cheeky one, and a happy one. Okay, so let's see if this is dried. So would you say it's half an hour?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see if it's dry, because it says, let's see what it says on here. It's usually about half an hour. Curing time, 15 to 20 minutes. Oops. So I've got a plaque here. I'm going to put this on. I'll put the one I'll put that one on there with a little bit of paste behind it, just to stick it. Bit of water, so I've just got a little bit of paste on there, and then I need a couple of, sorry, stretching out. Just going to take the little antlers off that one, because I want to put the flowers in as though he's bringing flowers, you see. So we've got the stick those down with a little water, like so, and then just grab these legs, put them over there. That's it, that would be lovely. Okay, so we've got him up to there on the plaque. Now, let's just see what's happening with this lot. Let me clear the desk because I'm getting very untidy, which, as you know, isn't me. And now that should push out. And then that. So you can't bend it, you see, like you can with, so I'm probably going to lose my original little thing. So with the likes of Karen's moulds, where you could just go plop. I don't think this is going to plop very easily. Let's see. It's that end bit there. I'm not bothered, because if the mould has done its job, then I can churn these out. Let's just get this out. Yes, fine. I'll maybe leave it a little bit longer because it's quite deep. And that's the thing when you're doing a deep piece like that. Lovely. So it's all coming out nice. For something like that, you see, you would need, I did cut a little pot down actually. I thought I chucked it out. You see a little pot that's been cut down. Yeah, I've thrown it out, but it was just a little pot, and I've cut it down to about that high. I think I had a yoghurt in it or something. It's okay, look. We'll just get this out. Here it comes. And then you can see what a nice little mould I've got. Okay. So you need to get all this away. It's quite detailed, wasn't it, with all these little roses, and leaves and everything else. That's it, because if you leave anything in there, when you come to press your paste in, of course, it's going to come out in your paste, or you're not going to get a nice so you can get a nice outline. Just a little bit there. So you can bend it a little bit, just don't want it to split. Right, I could go wash it, but I won't. But you can obviously wash it. A little toothbrush on it, and that will bring out any bits of icing. Now, let me just get a little piece of icing just to see if it's going to come out. Right. So, hold that up. I'll do it in white. Again, this is flour paste or your sugar paste with Tylo or gum trag in it. Just want to check it first. Yeah, that's fine. So I'm just going to work that. And then I'm going to brush that with a little bit of oil. But as I say, if you want to use corn flour, then you can. But I find it can clog up little bits. I'm just pushing that in there. Okay, so have a look at the overall shape that you've got. So wide down to a point. So I'm just going to taper this down. Get a nice smooth side, don't want any creases. Into there. Give a nice press. You see what a nice shape to your mould you've got. Unlike this one, which I just got a great big clump of it and stuck my Santa's head in. So make sure you take the paste right up into the corners of that leaf there. Bring it down. Just going to get back a knife. Now, this isn't a craft knife, it's not sharp as such, but it's not going to start cutting you mould to bits. Just going to go the other way so it's nice and flat. And then I can see if I've got it into all the little grooves. And then just a slight, you see, I'm just releasing it a little bit, but I'm not trying to bend that right back. And then I would just get my cocktail stick and lift and peel it out. Because of the oil, it comes out very easily. So I'm not going to paint another one, but that's you can see on there. Hopefully you can see it. Or should I paint it? Yes, I'll paint it. Got time, haven't I? Because that size, this is the one I've just made before. You see one is much bigger than the other. And I wanted to go into with the bee, and that one would absolutely suffocate the bee. So I will just, there's my little brush. A little paintbrush. See what happens when you start tidying up. Can't find anything. So I'll get the green on first. There's a little leaf there. You could get a bit of kitchen paper and just dab the oil off, because painting on oil isn't ideal. Just a little time and a little piece of kitchen roll just to dab anything like that off. If you left this to dry fully, the oil just disappears. It's that's all right. And again, you see, you can make these way in advance of any occasion that they're for, like Valentine's, Mother's Day, anything you need a little bouquet on. I'm just going to switch to a slightly larger brush. And I'll go for just paint these in. Around like so, and a little bit of green in the middle one. And then you can come back and do a darker orange in the centre. And then yes, so the one I did, you know, made the mould of, I didn't really have to paint, use the coloured paste for that. But it just gave me a better idea of where I needed a leaf. If I did it in colour first, you know, it just shows you where you need the little bits and bobs. And that's a little bouquet there, and then I could just go with a darker. If this starts to dry off, you can usually get a little darker colour shade in for the centre. Okay, so we've got that, and then I will put a little bit of paste. Really, you could make it like a glue, really. Add some water to it, or a touch of water front and back, and put that there. Lift that on top, like so. So he's got an enormous bouquet of flowers. And then with your black paste, you're just going to, when you roll, as you did with the feelers there, just make a little wrist. And then that can come round like so. So that would go to about there. And we can cut that off. And use your water. It's just a nice, you know, with the bees and everything out around now, I just think it's a nice little thing to make. And then just make a smaller one. And his arm would come from about there, wouldn't it, round? So you've only got to make a little one. So sausage, make that little wrist. Moisten where you want the arm to go. So we'll have hold of it like that. And take it up. Just tuck that underneath there. And then you can just check that you have got all the, you know, around the outside edge you have painted all the way around those little leaves there. There you go. Can't see his eye for the leaf, but it's quite big. So that would be our finished plaque, like so. Looks like he's going to eat it, doesn't he?
Cool.
Okay, so there you go. I hope you've enjoyed that little dem on the moulds, and that you have a go at making your own and model, and then making a moulds of it so you can churn them out. Do them now for Christmas. I know I've mentioned the Christmas word twice today, but be prepared. You can get them all ready. So, or Halloween, or what's the other one? What's the other one? Halloween. Oh, duck apple is no, whatever. So I hope you have a lovely summer. I'm going to have a ball with the kids, and literally with them, because she's a smashing little footballer. She's got strong legs, hasn't she, Grandad? We're all bruised from footballs landing on us where we think we can stop them and we can't.
Injuries.
I know. But not with Grandad at the moment, because we're treating him gently. So yeah, have a great summer, and I'll see you when the kids go back to school, which is usually around about the first week in September, isn't it? So it's about 3 or 4 weeks that we are disappearing now. Okay, and as I say, I will put a few bits on from this wedding that we're working on, 30,000 swans. Okay, so thanks for joining me today, and we'll see you then. Bye.
Bye everyone. Take care.